Why, yes. Yes, I did watch Naomi's apology video, which many of you are dishonestly framing as a retraction video, which I'll get to in a minute. And I did watch Daniel Greene's video, supposedly proving that Naomi was lying using their own words. And many of you, I'm sure, will be sad to hear that nothing has changed. I do not believe Daniel Greene at all, not even a little bit. And I don't think you should either. I'm going to explain why in a minute. But first, I want to backtrack to my previous video, which a lot of people are quite upset about. Let's review. The first video I made about this yesterday was not so much focusing on the details of the particular case between Naomi and Daniel, but more on the ethical principles of how consent is supposed to work, and the way that I use that, and I think everybody else should use that, as a lens for evaluating all cases like this. And the core principle there is that consent is an ongoing, never-ending, moment-by-moment communication. It can be revoked at any time for any reason, and it is on both partners to be paying attention to the other ones and acquiring consent for everything they want to do. Now, a lot of you took that to mean that I was saying consent always has to be verbal for absolutely everything, which is not what I meant and not what I was saying. And I don't think any adult with any emotional intelligence actually believes that. In fact, verbal consent can be quite problematic in cases of sexual assault or alleged sexual assault, because often victims will consent to do things out of fear, but they will resist in other ways. They'll have a flinch response. Their body will stiffen up. Their breathing will change. The tone of their voice or the inflection of their voice will be signals to the other person that something is wrong. And I want you to keep that bit in mind here as we go forward. So bearing that in mind, what do I make of the two videos, the first by Naomi and the second by Daniel Greene? I watched them both multiple times, about 5 times each, and then I thought about them all day at work. And using the analytical lens I had before and the ethical principles embedded in it, I'm not convinced by anything Daniel has to say. But first, I want to talk about Naomi's apology video, because a lot of you out there seem to think that this was a retraction of the allegations. And I don't see it that way at all. The apology was mostly to members of the sexual assault survivor community whom Naomi felt they had hurt by going public with these allegations in the way that they did. They also apologized to Daniel's fiancée, Kayla, and possibly to Daniel himself. That bit's a little unclear to me. But in all 3 cases, the apology was for harm caused, whatever that means. At no point did any of the claims made in the previous 2 videos get retracted. Now, I can't read Naomi's mind, obviously, but based on the words available to us, those claims have not been retracted. The sentence that stands out to me from that video is, "I stand by my trauma, but not by my behavior." I'll let that speak for itself. I don't want to try to put words in Naomi's mouth. Now that brings us to Daniel's video. And before we go forward here, I want to circle back and remind you about the principles of consent I talked about earlier, because the only relevant things in this story, the only thing we need to be focusing on, the ball we need to keep our eye on, is the 2 sexual encounters that happened between Naomi and Daniel, and what happened during those specific sexual encounters moment by moment, because that is the only part that matters. The relationship drama before that is 100% irrelevant. The events leading up to and between and after the 2 encounters are 100% irrelevant when it comes to determining whether Daniel had consent for those specific acts at those specific moments while they were happening. And here's the problem. Naomi, in their second video, provided a very detailed account of both of those sexual encounters, including descriptions and demonstrations of their body language, their body positioning, their reflexes, the stiffening of the body, the way they were breathing, the things they were saying, all of which indicated, according to the account, that they were at the very least reticent about going forward with these particular acts at this particular time. And Daniel ignored those signs and did it anyway. Now, whether Naomi would use these words to describe what happened, to me, that is objectively descriptions of sexual assault. It isn't anything else. So if I am a juror, what I need to hear, if I'm a juror on a hypothetical case involving these two people and their claims, what I need to hear from Daniel is not an account of what happened before and between and after the two sexual encounters. What I need to hear is at least an attempt to provide a counter narrative, a counter analysis, a counter blow by blow of the events of those two sexual encounters as they were happening. And Daniel's video does not do that at all. Not at all. He spends a lot of time talking about the details of their relationship, a lot of time talking about the events leading up to the first encounter and after the first encounter, leading up to the second encounter and after the second encounter, but never deals with the encounters themselves. So the only set of testimony we have about how those two encounters unfolded moment by moment comes from Naomi, and it does not paint Daniel in a very good light. Now, I suppose it's possible that Daniel did not give those details in his video because he didn't want YouTube to flag the video and delete it like it did to Naomi's video. But considering that Daniel also devoted a significant portion of that video's runtime to talking about and refuting another accuser of his, whom he also dismisses as a crazy ex-girlfriend, I am not inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt here. You are not the world's unluckiest man, Daniel. The problem is you. Will this ever go before a court? I don't know. Did Naomi make mistakes in the way they came public with these allegations? That's up to them. All I know is this. Whether these events would hold up as technically, legally, technically sexual assault or not, morally, it's crystal clear. Morally, what happened here, based on the evidence presented in all the available videos right now, in my opinion, was sexual assault. I do not believe Daniel Greene at all, and you shouldn't either. Now, out of respect for Naomi's decision to go quiet about this, I will say nothing more on the matter. Comments on this video, just like on my previous video, will be moderated, and that's the end of the matter. I'm not looking for a debate here. I don't care what you think. If you want to go into someone's comment section and make it a debate about sexual assault, your opinion is worthless to me. Thank you for watching.